Hey everyone, welcome to The Grind. If you've just joined us, we are studying the book of Hebrews and we are in week 3. Just a quick reminder, just a brief recap that, the book of Hebrews is known as the fifth gospel of the New Testament, and it shows us what Jesus is doing in heaven right now. Jesus, he not only purifies us, but he prays for us. And so let's talk a little bit about Jesus purifying us, and what does it mean that in Jesus we are no longer condemned? Like, how do you live out this promise?
Well, besides the obvious answer of like being saved from death and now we are allowed to be with God in heaven, I think that it's also like that's like the end goal, that where do we end up? That's the obvious answer. But I think what could also be interpreted is, what can we do now? How does this impact us now? And the way I see that is that like we should be in this mental state that like whatever the devil tries to tear us down with should not even faze us. We should not even shed a drop of attention to what he does, because it's this mentality of like, the saying, right? You're not a sinner saved by grace. You were a sinner, but now you are a saint saved by grace. So I think it's that mentality of like knowing who you really are right now. You're not disregarding the past. You acknowledge who you were before, but also acknowledge who you are today.
So apart from God being the judge, and in your head you are guilty, your crime is written on your head or something, but then the reality is very difficult to escape all these labels. Like apart from being guilty, society gives you a lot of label. You're poor, you are cam, like in Cantonese there is cam, like you're not very good at communicating. You're offended, you're angry, and so like to me it's difficult to at this moment to not live out faith by works.
Like I think it's I'm reminded of like Galatians chapter 5 verse 1, which is, it is for freedom Christ has set us free, stand firm and do not submit again to a yoke of slavery. And so again, yes, head and head knows something, but heart sometimes has a hard time to catch up with what you know as facts. And so I think it is truly freeing to know that there's no longer this stain of sin and shame that's on you, but then also to live it out is easy but also so hard. It's just this battle of and then suddenly when something happens, it's like, oh no, I messed up, and then you just spiral. And I think sin and shame is something that just if you let fester, it can go real fast, can grow real big real fast. And so have you ever had moments where shame and guilt just creep into your life?
Of course.
Yeah.
Because it always feels like to me it always feels like a minefield, where you would step on one, like just somehow maybe you get offended, maybe I have this lustful thought again, like I covet other people's material again, and so there's always voice coming out.
Same. Like I think it always tries to sneak in. The way I like to see is that the devil just lies. So I like to say that he's not creative, because he just takes the truth and just flips it, and then that's what it is.
Actually, that's a good way to see it.
And so like I remember there's this video I was watching where they were playing a board game, and we get competitive. And so there was one point where something unfair happened and one player started flipping out, and then in the matter of like seconds, she just like, wait, hold on a second. Like, I take that back. I don't know why I just did that.
Okay. Are you kidding? That's unfair. She made those. I need to calm down. Everything's fine.
Amanda.
I'm an adult.
For me, I want to see like that's the dynamic I want to have with like the Holy Spirit. That I could be like, oh, shame, guilt, and I'm like, wait, why did I let that affect me? Like I want to snap out of it. So I think it's that mentality of like the devil's always trying to say like, you're not a saint, you're a sinner, right? And so like I'm like, no, I know I'm a saint, right? So it's like I said, it's acknowledging who we are in the present, not who we were.
And in the presence of the Lord is like fullness of joy and peace. And I like to think that I'm in the presence of the Lord all the time. But yeah, like shame and guilt, it does creep in, and sometimes in moments where you never expect it. And I think like I mentioned, right, if it's something that's left unchecked, it can just grow and fester into something really huge. And I've had moments where, like, you know, I felt like I wasn't good enough. I always felt like significant. And then again, the thought just goes on because it's something that happened. And then I'll be like, well, what's the point of me being alive? You know, what if I took my life right now? No one would care that I left this world. Like, and, you know, there is no family. I mean, yeah, sure, it's people mourn me, but it's nothing. You know, basically it can go on and to the point where, what if I just, died right now? No one would care. And I think I've definitely voiced those thoughts to, like, you know, friends before. And I think thoughts like that do come in from time to time, especially if I'm dealing with something that I'm just not happy with, especially when I feel inadequate. And I guess the voice of God sometimes coming in form of friends to just slap me out of it. It's like, no, like, you will be missed. You are needed. You are important. And which is why I think I'm a strong believer in community as well. Because again, if I didn't have community, I think I would have left this world a while ago, in all honesty. So I'm thankful that we have Jesus as our great high priest, that, you know, he took all of that on him so that we can freely enter the presence of the Lord. We can, you know, be set free from guilt and shame, and that, you know, sin has no longer power over us, and we're set free from the penalty of sin. So no one comes to God without a priest, and basically the priest made peace between God and the people. And it was a really interesting point that Pastor had said about, you know, the heads of families to serve as priests to make peace with God. And actually, have you seen that play out in your family, within your family?
I think something close that I'd say that my dad did, what my dad did was priestly, was there was one time I don't even remember what triggered it, but he felt convicted. So what he did was he asked all of my family members to just go into our own rooms and just be alone. And one at a time he approached us, and then with a basin of water, and he said, "I'm gonna wash your feet," and then he kind of repented. To me that's the closest thing that I could remember.
Wow. Yes and no for me, because usually the head of family is the father. And but in my family, it's usually my mother who initiate the prayers, and it's very rare that we'll get together to pray, because it's not like they do not believe, but it's kind of more like a personal thing rather than family. That one or two times we got together and repented and asked for God to forgive us and guide us in the road in the future. That was pretty cool. And I guess I can start with my future family to do all these praying.
Priest to Keith. Keith to priest.
Priest to Keith. Priest to Keith. Yes, priest to Keith. Same thing as well. As like my mom was a little bit the one who was more vocal about like her faith than my father, and like that. The idea of like having family time to pray was not a common thing growing up, and I wonder if, you know, my life would have been different. Trajectory could have been different if we had more of that in our lives. I don't know, right? And like you said, can always start in my future family, but obviously at the end of the day, it's still the head of family that needs to lead it, right? So not just marry like someone who's just like meh in his faith, but really also pursuing the Lord, as I am too. But I think as I was thinking about it, for some, like I think one of the key moments of my dad like bringing together the family to pray was, I think me and my brother were really fighting. It was a pretty bad fight, and this was when we were also grown adults as well. So we were in our 20s, and we were arguing about something so trivial. And my dad just kind of like stopped us all, and then kind of just I remember it was in Singapore, just brought us all together in a moment and just like calmed us down, and then like prayed over us or led that time. And we were like, okay, God, and thanks, Dad. And my dad has this habit of like every single time we leave the house to travel, he will always pray. It was just this like interesting habit that not interesting habit, but like, you know, something that he did.
It's not like you're asking for a genie for protection outside of your country, but you can really feel the spiritual authority there. Like before we go, he always, you know, does that. So
Now, going to the idea of like, the priest, right? Like that's one of the main topics that is brought up in Hebrews, and it's basically centered on this specific name, Melchizedek. And it's mentioned as a historical person in Genesis 14, and then in Psalms, Psalm 110:4, it makes a reference to a priest according to the order of Melchizedek. So let's just look at Genesis 14. You see Abraham coming home from a successful battle, and he gives Melchizedek a tenth of everything, and then Melchizedek blesses him and received his tithe. Now, what does this teach us about honoring God?
I think for me is what I really feel that I'm taking away is actually it's the importance of gratitude. The tithing is should never be seen as a chore, right? And I think it should be seen as like a form of gratitude that like God's blessing you with this, so then you are like saying like, hey God, I appreciate this, so here I want to give some back, like there's the gratitude of like being a good steward of his blessings.
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing that I guess that's the whole idea of like tithing came from that, like a tenth, from that situation. And blessings come when you tithe. And it's also, I think, I like what Pastor Ed said, is that tithing's an act of trust, as a mirror of how you can trust God. I mean, actually, this is a side question, but have you guys ever struggled with tithing when it comes to tithing?
Actually, no for me.
Yeah? Yeah, how come?
Because it's only 10%, right? And some people will say the more you earn, it's harder to tithe because you tithe more.
Yeah.
But then I've always earned relatively little, so my 10% is very little.
Yeah.
And, it's just a regular habit also, and if you really convicted that this first fruit, this 10%, actually your 100% like came from God. And you just bring back that 10% it's actually quite easy to do.
Yeah, why do you struggle?
I think, easy because I did not understand it right.
Okay.
Right? Because I had the mentality like, hey, I work for this. Why? Because it's it was one of those, growing up, it was one of those things that was like, oh, this is something you should do, but I was not taught why. So then the whole time was like, oh, it's just a rule, it's part of the tradition or religious thing that you must do.
So the church is scamming you, taking your money.
I didn't want to go there, but almost. Basically I didn't understand it, and so that's why I think. And so eventually when I finally like properly understood it, I was like, oh, this makes so much more sense. And then from then onwards, it was my heart was in a better place to give, because I knew what I was doing. There was intention. I think that's why I had more peace with it.
I see. I think as a kid, I enjoyed putting money in the bag. I was like, yeah, mom, give me the money. I want to,
to show off, right? I'm putting $5.
Oh, it wasn't a show for me. I thought it was just a game. It was, not a game, but it's just something cool to do. I get to do this, put my hand, drop it in. So every time I remember coming to church and my parents would give me say $5 or something like that. And I was like, oh, yay, and then put it in. And then, so I think because I've never really my dad never showed that he struggled with finance. I think he was someone that just fully trusted the Lord with his finances. And so I think that's why that kind of also in a way overflowed to me, where I never stressed about finance. So for me, giving to the Lord, tithing was okay, it felt like it was, normal. But then it felt so normal to the point where I lost the reverence in it. So I was doing it, I knew I had to do it, right? So I'm like, oh, let me just do it. And then I think for me, sometimes I forget to do it. And then it's like, oh, shoot, I haven't, tied to the Lord. And then, you can set up your auto payment and stuff like that. But I just feel like it's so impersonal. So I have to actually set it up myself. As in I, do it electronically or whatever it is. I don't want to just every this day of the month, money goes. It just feels like more easy, you know. So
it feels like you need to have that pinch to feel like it's worth something that you're giving.
Like I need to get that text like ding, you just but
the tactile experience, the immersive experience.
Yeah, immersive experience. But I think tithing has it's not just something like, oh yeah, it's, you know, I just do it, but an act of reverence and act of worship and act of really trusting the Lord. So let's go back to Melchizedek just a little bit. So we see that he's greater than the Levitical priests, because with Abraham as their forefather, the Levitical priests who collect tithes from Israel, you know, gave their tithe to Melchizedek, and then the Levitical priests who blessed the rest of Israel received their blessing from Melchizedek. And then we also see that the Levitical priesthood is imperfect because, you know, we could not draw near to the Lord with confidence, and with Aaron, it's the only high priest approach God's throne in only one day of the year. Just imagine that we can only come to church one day a year if only one specific priest is there, right? I mean, my Sundays would look really different. But I think that's beautiful, again, that we have a great high priest who is Jesus. And so how does Jesus being both priest and sacrifice deepen your trust in him?
Because I can have peace and rest that I'm not fighting this alone. And while we don't really have a clear picture of priests, but even in Revelation, you have those incense things and the prayer you burn up to. It's very strange. But then the court image, we know that relatively well with the judges and the accused. So I think, to me, the enemy accuses me all the time, but Jesus is my lawyer, is my defender, and he also provides all the evidence needed for my case, and that gives me like real peace.
Yeah.
I think for me it's that it really shows that how much he cherishes us, because he's doing this for our sake, not even his sake. Like the only benefit that he is getting out of this is that he runs a chance that we get to spend eternity with him, you know. And I feel like when he sacrifices so much, it's like he has more at stake, you know, and so there's more reason to trust him. When someone puts such a high risk on something, you feel that they know their stuff even more.
Right.
I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. The fact that Jesus like fulfilled both roles, just like he basically is in it for like he's serious, right? Like he's basically paid the price. He knows the stakes. He did it anyways. And I think it's just the fact that he wants that for us to be reconciled to our Father. And like it's like, what? I know I'm the perfect sacrifice. I know I'm going to do it. So like, boom, I'm going to go for it. That's my, you know, that's what I'm going to do for you guys. And I think it's just to know that sometimes I've definitely taken that sacrifice lightly. And I think whenever I say like, oh, my life is not worth it, I'm not important, it's basically just taking light of, well, Jesus, you died for nothing. And I think sometimes when I think about that, then okay, Lord, I'm sorry, I repent. And yeah, I think it's also thinking about like the sacrifice that my parents have made as well. And you know, they've done so much for me to have, like, for me and my brother to live our lives the way we are. And so it's just to say like, oh man, let me just throw this away, it's not worth, like, my life is not worth it. It's also kind of like spitting in their face like, hey, you did nothing. So I think it's just understanding that, you know, his heart for us is really for reconciliation, and just to, you know, hold on to that. And so next question would be like, then what difference does it make to know that Jesus is interceding for you right now?
I think it's rare to always see like someone who's higher upper like care so much for someone so low. You know, I think I think it's that ideal relationship of where like the employer defends the employee, you know, whenever, if like say there's like a bad customer. And actually there's one line that really stood out to me. I don't know why it did. It was somewhere where Pastor Ed said like he's still at work purifying us. You know, like part of somewhere in my head I thought like, oh, once Jesus went back to heaven, he's like, oh, job's done, I can like
bye-bye
and relax and let everything unfold, and then like I'll come back when I at the second coming. But I think like, yeah, that I like that idea that Jesus is actually still working, still interceding for us and praying for us. So you can see that he really wants us to succeed. So which kind of puts more emphasis on why we should go to him, because he's like rooting for us. He's our best supporter, basically. Yeah.
Like I've had moments where people ask like, oh, would you like to pray for me? And and I'll be like, yeah, I would. And then it's like, there's some people's like, oh, like you can either give financially or pray for me. And I was like, okay, I would do prayer support because I can't maybe, look like, I guess feasibly give you money like every single month, right? But then also I'm like, do I consistently pray for these people every month? No, I don't. And I find it really hard to pray for people like consistently, right? I had little post-its on my wall to remind me of the people that I pray for, but sometimes those post-its are just green pieces of paper on the wall. I don't, and I was like, oh yeah, I have to pray for, So I think the fact that Jesus is praying for us every single day, it's like, wow, you've got the covering, right? And I know I've had people say like, oh, we'll pray for you, we'll be your prayer support for, for days to come. And I don't know if they're still praying for me to this very day. I mean, if they are, thank you, Lord, for these people. But yeah, I think it's knowing that he's all covering is like, yeah.
Yeah. Because my tendency is to be my own fixer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rush here and there. Wherever there's problem, like I immediately go search for some answers, or I try to fix it. But then like this line touches me on like multiple levels. It's like interceding for me, and then like you said, like right now he's still interceding, and so it's like similar to how you feel about like oh, my life is worthless, I feel shame and guilt, and it's like, oh, Jesus died for Dom, Jesus died for Pat, but then like I sometimes don't feel like that way, but in truth he is interceding for each one of us, and that matters, that personal connection.
So I think finally is to know that our activity, yes, we are, our identity as a child of God, but then our activity is first and foremost priestly. I guess the whole like what we do at church, priestly and prophetic service. And so as priests, how can you offer spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God daily? I think for me, something that I'm convicted of is really just to, besides the whole worship and, make peace and whatever, is really to intercede for others as well. I think is to take some time to really, really do that. So I think that's something.
I think generally for me is just servitude, right? I mean, like, as I was thinking about this, I was like, oh, be giving something. Well, like, for example, like waking up and then like first thing that you're doing is like praising God right off the bat, right? But then at the same time, making yourself available. And the way I was like seeing this, I was like, hey, this is kind of like a transaction where it's like, God gave me life, God gave me free will, and so now I'm giving it back. And I was like, hey, this is basically tithing, So I think in that same manner that, servitude, that, we have life, we have free will, we can do whatever we want. And I think when we can give that, like with open hands, offer that back to God, I think to me that is what is like proper and righteous and holy servitude, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, on one side, you want to escape like the legalism label, but then on the other side, it is a sacrifice, and you do need to have effort, and they may be suffering, and so I'm just reminded of like Revelation 21. As for the cowardly, faithless, detestable, murderers, sexually immoral, idolaters, liars, like they will be burned with fire and sulfur, and then. And like in 1 Peter chapter 5, humble yourselves, therefore under the mighty hand of God, so that the proper time he may exalt you. You cast all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. Be sober-minded, watchful, because the devil prowls around like a roaring lion. So, like I'm just reminded to have this like active lifestyle, that I flee from the devil. I will not allow all his accusations or spiritual weakness to take over me. And then also like in the sermon, spend your precious time to pray for others, especially your families, or even bless your workplace. And your special people like your wife or your husband, your spouse, your significant other, and then if you have more children, your prayer time should be longer, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like praying for each of your children and praying for each of your children daily. So, I mean, I like to think that my parents did that. So, thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. All right, but yeah, that's what it is. Our activity is first and foremost priestly. All right, well, that's that for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.